I've been flying Turkish for a number of years between Canada and Indonesia. I work in Indonesia in the mining sector, and I'm a 2.15 million mile um, frequent flyer with Star Alliance, with Air Canada, not with Turkish Airlines, because I live in Canada, and that's the only thing that makes sense. On my flight on September 23rd on Turkish Airlines 0057 from Jakarta to Istanbul, I'm in a brand new Airbus 350-900 series, seated in 4K. When I got on the plane and we took off, my seat didn't work. None of the buttons worked. It was completely dead. As the flight was full, they couldn't move me. So I sat in an upright position from Jakarta to Istanbul, and the crew was very apologetic. The crew about the only thing with Turkish Airlines that I'm very thankful for, because apart from that, Turkish Airlines is probably one of the worst airlines I've ever flown in terms of any. I've still yet to hear from somebody in a live thing, even though I've repeatedly given them. They sent me a WhatsApp, and it was originated somewhere in Kenya. Then the next thing I get, supposedly in Turkish Airlines, was some legal thing whereby now they charge my credit card $66 to speak to a lawyer. I said, I don't want to speak to a lawyer. It was $2 supposedly. Now you've charged me an additional 68. So when I got to Istanbul, I complained, and then I had a 10-hour layover. I got back to the airport, and my flight from the same ticket from Istanbul to the same day, Istanbul to Montreal. As I checked in, the woman said to me, Mr. Logan, would you consider taking 2,000 euros plus a free round trip business class ticket, Montreal, Istanbul, if you would sit in the front row in economy and to go to Canada? I said, Miss, I've just sat in what I considered to be an economy seat, as it didn't work from Jakarta to here. So the answer is no. And so I've gone back and forth with what I believe is Turkish Airlines. You're never sure because it's not a live person. What they said was, they to my credit, they've given me, I had a Turkish Airline miles and smiles, but I never accrue any points on it. They gave me 15,000 points as compensation and said, we consider the case closed. Well, I know from the human rights that I should get more than that. But they made no attempt to reach out to me at all in the last 14 days. So I'm rather disheartened. And the second complaint I had is that Turkish Airlines, probably the worst in the world for handicapped. I'm 82 years old. I've got a knee condition, and so I request a wheelchair. Well, the Turkish Airlines people that handle the wheelchairs for Turkish Airlines, they're constantly reaching out for money. And I gave the guy 200 Turkish lira, and he looked at me and said, that's all? And so I took the money back. But I mean, this goes on time and time again. And on arrival in Montreal, there wasn't one single wheelchair for anybody on the plane that requested a wheelchair. So there were none. So I'm disappointed in a number of things. I love the airline, the crew. I love the planes. I love the seats. But as far as any kind of reaching out to people, their human resources it's just terrible. They just do not reach out. They don't want to reach out. So my recourse is, my daughter's a lawyer. I'm thinking of taking a legal action against Turkish Airlines and going to the Consumer Complaints Department here in Canada, because obviously Turkish Airlines have no intention of resolving this issue whatsoever. It's not enough to send me an email saying we've credited your account with 15,000 points. We consider it closed. They should be asking me if I consider it closed, not the other way around. Anyway, there's my story. And just as an aside, I happen to be the former chief of staff to the Defense Minister of Canada, and I'm taking this very seriously. And I'm certainly, if we form a government in the next election, I'm going to speak to the Minister of Transport if I can, and see what we can do about this Turkish Airlines and their public relations. It's terrible. All I want is at least somebody live to speak to me from Turkish Airlines and say, I've given them my WhatsApp number. I got a strange email saying, we can't call you long distance, so can we have your WhatsApp number? And when I check this number, it originates in Kenya. I don't know if they've got a call center in Kenya or not, but I just refused to give out my number to that thing. But I've supplied my number on X, formerly of Twitter, to the Turkish Airlines. I'm not sure anymore whether I'm dealing really with Turkish Airlines or you're dealing with some people that are pretending to be Turkish Airlines. You don't know anymore, because nobody has reached out and said, we are Turkish Airlines, like live. Even though I provide, they've got my number, that I gave them my Air Canada gold number, my lifetime gold number, and nothing. Then they say, we've accredited your Smiles and Miles. Well, the only reason I even took up Smiles and Miles years ago, or whenever I took it out, was because I thought it would give me more free time on the internet on business class, which turned out to be false, because you've got to be at a certain level of Smiles and Miles to be able to get that. But I don't double dip my miles. My miles all are accrued, and they can check that on my Air Canada. And I've taken at least 10 flights in the last 2 years on Turkish Airlines between Montreal and Jakarta. Each one of them costing me over 7,500 Canadian dollars. I've been telling everybody, I was in Toronto the other day for a luncheon, and I told people, under no circumstances fly Turkish Airlines, because if you have a problem or an issue, they will not resolve it. And, that's where we are. And I have friends now starting to write to other friends, and, I'm trying to now tell the various travel agencies, don't book people on Turkish if you can find another alternative, because you won't get satisfaction. And particularly if you're older like I am, and you need special assistance.